So it takes time to get a product-based side hustle off the ground, but it can get you to financial independence. Here is why it will take you 24 months. It's one of those things where, as I was kind of mapping out really the journey that will take your product based side hustle from zero all the way to financial independence. Now, in the product side hustle league, which is my coaching program for growing a product based side hustle, I've mapped it out to be um, a journey where you get your product based side hustle to 25K a month in product sales. So that's kind of like more than $250,000 a year in product sales, selling your product, whether that's an e-commerce store kind of products, like whatever e-commerce products you might be selling, whether drop shipping or selling from inventory, or whether you're selling an info product, a course or a membership program, that kind of thing, or whether you're selling software as a service. So if you can get that to 25K a month, more than $250,000 in revenue, even if you're living in the most expensive cities on the planet, that should be enough cash to make you very financially independent. And if you happen to live out in the countryside or in a small town, in a small city, even with something like 4K a month, you're basically financially independent. But the goal of the program is obviously to get to the target is 25K a month, because now you realistically are financially independent for life, and you can do whatever you want to do, whether that's travel the world, whether that's go off and do your hobbies whilst building your business on the side, or whether that's going full time in your business and scaling up into a global empire like Amazon. The sky is the limit at that point. But it really takes time. It takes, as I've mapped it out, it takes some like 24 months. Now, um, why is that? And this is why you really gotta be in it for the long term. For the long term. So one thing I've discovered in business is, if you're playing a short-term game, you will almost never win in business. The people that win in business are the people that are in it for the long term. The people that are in it for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. If you're Warren Buffett, if you are guys like that, Mark Cuban, if you are John Paul DeJoria, if you are those kinds of guys that become the billionaires, then you gotta be in it for the next 50 years. uh, Chances are not great that you're gonna be a billionaire in the next year or in the next 2 years, unless you're already worth $10 billion today. Then, well, there could be a chance that you'll be worth $1 billion a year from now if you're making the wrong moves. But for the rest of us that are not billionaires, man, that's just how it is. um, so it's a matter of time. So chances are not great that you're gonna be a billionaire in the next year, but there is a higher chance that you're gonna be a billionaire in the next 50 years. So you gotta be somebody that's planning to be in the game for the long term. That's really the only way to win big in business. So with financial independence, a side hustle is nothing more than a really small business that you're building up on the side. So it is a business. You have to think of it just as any other business investment you might make, um, whether that's buying real estate, or whether that's going to school for 4 years and getting a diploma, whether that's enrolling in some kind of you know um, professional accreditation program that's gonna take you 2 years. Exact same thing. You're trying to improve your income with that kind of education, that kind of investment. So you really shouldn't think that you're gonna crack side hustles and go financially independent in anything less, in any less time. Like, really plan 24 months. And the way that this works is it's divided into 3 phases. Phase one is the first 6 months. Your goal in the first 6 months is really just to build a personal brand around whatever products you're selling, whether your e-commerce product, your info product, or your software as a service. And so that's gonna be 6 months, phase one. And you want to build up a personal brand with at least 5,000 followers online. That's what it really takes to really be able to predictably make sales of your product. And then phase two is month 6 to month 10. And so what that's gonna be is gonna be a sales blitz to get to the first 10K in product sales. This is where you are now actually getting sales of your product happening. A very exciting time in your product-based side hustle, but that only begins at month 6, and then you run that 4 months to month 10. You should be able to get to the first 10K in product sales in that time. Then the final phase is phase number 3, that starts in month 10, and that takes you all the way to month 24. And now in that time, you now want to systemize. Instead of just the blitz that you did for a very short 4 months, now you want to systemize that, really double down on what's working well, and then scale out with more marketing systems that I lay out in what I call my 7-figure product launches marketing system. And I've documented this system in some of my other videos on my YouTube channel. But you want to now implement everything you can out of all that, so you're getting the maximum sales that you can predictably as possible. And that's what takes you to from 10K in total sales to 25K a month in monthly sales of your product. And now you've got a really sustainable product-based business, and you're on the way to some really cool things. And by this point, you're way beyond financially independent, and you can do whatever you want. So that's kind of the layout. So this takes more than 3 days, guys. This takes more than a week. This is not gonna happen in 2 months, in 5 months, in 8 months. So plan for 24 months, because in business, to really win in business, you gotta be in it for the long term. Now you can also grab some of my resources to help you with your journey with your product-based side hustle. The links will be in the description.